And we all know what happened in 2020. Now, there were a couple little small things in between that, but we know what happened in 2020. 2020, they pushed people, into things in which they did not need to go through. And what was interesting about 2020 is and I've said this before and have been deleted actually for talking about it, but when you look at the symptoms of radio wave sickness or radiation poisoning, and you look at the illness that came out in 2020, you notice that they're exactly the same. Loss of smell, loss of taste, brain fog, hair loss, nausea. Those are all symptoms of radiation poisoning, not of germs. Germs don't cause any of these things. And the reason I say that is because let's say a couple people have an electrical imbalance and they're all sitting in the room. Do they all have an electrical imbalance in which they can transfer from one to another? They don't. They surely don't. So that's an interesting thing. So 2020, you have the same thing going on side by side. And what's interesting is as the people are sitting in their homes, people are going out and installing towers in schools, in stadiums, in all these different places. I don't know if you guys caught I think it's like Lana Del Rey. I think she had a concert in Mexico and all the kids, all the people dropped. That's from the frequencies. These are millimeter waves. They're toxic to our health. All the kids dropped instantaneously. That's all that frequency pulsing at the same time, causing them to drop. Because if you're ever in an area with a lot of people with a lot of devices, you can feel it on your heart. Your heart is an electrical device. If you are altering the frequency that comes from your heart, then you alter your whole body. There's a great book on this called The Heart Is Not a Pump, which I highly recommend to reading as well. This goes even more into it because your heart is not a pump. It's an electrical conductor for your body, for everything to charge and to flow. That's why when you're laying on the ground, they shock you back to life so they can bring you back because there's energy that's flowing in this beautiful heart of yours. So with that, in 2020, you have these symptoms of, like I said, the radiation poisoning matching up exactly to the illness in which they're talking about, which is a corona illness, a mental or mind illness of the corona, which is your crown chakra, the largest chakra on your body, which absorbs every frequency coming in through your mind. So think about that. But what's interesting about this is there's a man, a pastor, who put up $1 million. And I have to say this, $1 million. He put up $1 million for somebody to show that the illness exists. And what's interesting is nobody has won that $1 million. Not a single scientist to be able to prove that that illness exists. And if we go back to 1923 Lancaster study with influenza or the influence of that, nobody could determine that influenza existed at that time too. But what they could determine was that the body is at an electrical imbalance based on its terrain, and it's now having to balance itself out so it can come back to the original status in which it was. And the reason I say that is because when you really think about it, every time you are ill or you are told you are ill, what do? You usually wrap up your body, which creates heat like a conductor. You usually drink a lot of water, and they always tell you to stay hydrated. And what's the other one they always tell you? Eat a lot of salt. Salt increases conductivity and energy. A lot of soup. You always eat a lot of soup and a lot of water, and you wrap yourself up and you rest until your body is fully recharged and you're fully ready to go again. You're feeding your body, if you want to go into it, electrolytes, the whole thing, that are enhancing the body to bring back the stasis.